Well, happy Sunday morning. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. How has your weekend been going so far? It's half over, or maybe more than half over if you count Friday night. So, cheers and good morning. I'm tired this morning. I wanted to sleep in. I thought about writing in a cancellation of Sunday morning, of it's Sunday, but no, I'm here. Hmm. Ah. Hope you're all doing well this morning. What's going on? Oh, wait, that was done higher. What's going on? So I got nothing on my mind this morning, nothing of great import. So I'm relying on all of you to help coffee me up and get me going this morning, get my brain going. I'd rather be in bed. Where would you rather be? And I'd rather be sleeping. Two different things. So, yeah, last night I worked for my friend Heather Marie for her staging company, and we did I didn't do the load in, but I did the load out last night of at the Jason Aldean concert over at Treasure Island Casino and Resort and Casino over here, about an hour from my house. So that was fun. Well, no, not necessarily fun. It's not super hard work. Everything nowadays it's all so engineered to fit together, all the lighting and the sound and all of that stuff. It's very interesting. And there was about 50 people there helping. So we loaded up, I don't know how many semi trucks full of their lighting systems, their laser screens, their all of that stuff that gets loaded up. And it's amazing when you think about it. And that stuff all gets set up and broken down in a day. So it was all hauled in there yesterday morning and all hauled out last night. And so we went from about I suppose he played until about 10:30, 10:45, and then immediately it starts. I mean, there's no gap in between. He's off stage and we're on stage and we're pulling down lights and doing all that stuff. So it was and it's not hard work at all. It's not taxing at all. There were so many people. There were even moments where you kind of stand around for a little bit and go, do you need me there? Do you need me there? Well, I mean, we had specific things that we had to do, but they there were so many people and everybody eager to get the work in there. So that you sometimes had to go, oh, pardon me, I'll take this one. So it was just pretty good. And everybody seems pretty polite and pretty cool. So that's what I did last night. I got home here at about 3:30 this morning. And that was my overnight. Hey, Sean Arbest Senior, good to see you. XOXOXOXOXO, he says, and love and hearts at Susie Q. I see what's going on here. So what'd you all do last night? What's going on? My brain is fairly much. See, I can't even formulate a sentence. That's the way I am this morning. No, I'm functional. I'm okay. It's going to take me a while to really kick into high gear. So I need your help. What's going on with you guys this morning? Because I got nothing in particular to talk about off the top of my head. Doesn't mean I couldn't find something off the top of my head. Working in Erie, PA today. Can't type much, but I love you all. What you doing in Erie, PA, Sean? Sean Holt, good to see you. He went to bed early last night. All right. That's the way to go. Hey, Sage Outcast. Hey now, he says. Hey now. Hey now, hey later. What's going on? Smashing the like button. Thank you, Elvis. Not much to like here yet this morning. Hopefully that'll come in massive quantities as we carry on. Hey, Cordia, spirit hearts, gods and goddesses. I enjoy being at the farm alone while family went camping and fishing. Yes. I miss my family. They're all Raini has got the girls up at her mom's cabin up on the I don't know if it's her mom's or if it must be her husband's, Raini's stepdad, because it's up on the reservation up Leech Lake, Minnesota. So, wow. So is the Treasure Island. It says NB, where you live compared to Vegas? Still have pirates jumping off ships and whatnot because they took that away in Las Vegas. Did you ever have it? Where A? NB, a little choppy, broken English there, but I think I got what you got, what you mean. Are you in Vegas? Well, I'm miles from Vegas. So miles and eons from Vegas. So we're up in the north central part of the United States, Minnesota, Wisconsin area, which a trip to Las Vegas, if I were to drive to Las Vegas today, would probably take me about 20 hours by car. That gives you an idea. So, Treasure Island's the name of the casino up here. It's a Native American casino up on one of the reservations. Still have pirates and stuff as a show in the water. No, they don't do that. They've just got the name. They don't do anything particularly piratey at Treasure Island. They do have a lot of stages, though. So they do have some major names that come in there and do shows. So, and it's a casino, of course. So, let's see. Like number 7. There you go. I don't know what that means, but thank you. And by the way, anybody you can call in and be part of the show. And since Sunday mornings really has no super pointed agenda, but we do talk. Hey, Carlene, I see you out there. Carlene, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Getting ready to go back to work after having a hiatus for 2 weeks for being sick.
Yeah.
You didn't have a topic of conversation. How about the topic of Biden selling off all the wall parts for pennies?
The wall parts
Down at the southern border, all the wall parts that were supposed to build the wall, he's selling them for peanuts.
Seriously?
Seriously, it was on the news today.
Heard that somewhere along the way, but selling them for pennies. Why doesn't he just put them up? So.
Oh, guys, well, we all know why he doesn't. He's a traitor to the country. He'd rather have all the illegals come in and all the drugs. So.
Yep. Well, I don't know what their specific purpose is for when you really think about it. We speculate, we theorize as to why he's not completing the wall or not doing anything with the southern border. Somehow it's got to be something that the left feels is beneficial to them, that they are resisting building the wall.
Yeah.
They're resisting doing anything at all about immigration. And I watched, passively watched yesterday because I was doing other things, but I think it was probably from earlier than yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday, but it was being televised. It was on YouTube. I saw a big long clip of it, of the hearings. They were calling for the resignation of Mayorkas and talking about the border, and they had border security people that were talking. And so it was interesting listening to that, at least passively, and hearing what was going on. So,
yeah, I mean, just for an example, they said a panel of that cost us $300,000 of taxpayers, and he's selling them for $212.
Right. Hey, Sean Arvest, I had to throw that one up there. My favorite pirate thing to do is to capture booty. Arr. The best.
And then of course he made a bamboozle at some rally he was at and told the kids he knew where to get good ice cream and to follow him afterwards, and that their parents owed him the ice cream.
Nice.
And I'm like, are you really kidding me? I mean, a lot of these people can't afford ice cream for their kids because of what you did.
Yeah. Well, I think it's easy to lapse into being saying I can't afford ice cream. Well,
yeah.
Can't afford a lot of things now, but I'll get ice cream. If my kids want ice cream, we'll get it. The ice cream truck came by last Sunday. We got them ice cream, and from the ice cream truck. But that's more expensive than going to the store and just getting a gallon of ice cream.
Oh yeah, I understand that. It's just the whole thing of the way he put it. Like I said, it's on.
I got Ruben Fast Horse calling me. Ruben, are you listening? You always call me during the show. Let's see. Let's see. We'll answer. If it'll let me answer. There we go. Hey, Ruben. How you doing, brother? Here. See, there's Ruben. I'll send you the link. It's under, if you see the link on my page, if you go to Facebook, you can click right there. But I can also send it to you in Messenger. Just send in messages. I'll send it to you. It'll be there in just a few seconds. Lickety split. See ya. There you go.
Oh no, I can understand. Yes, people are going to get their kids ice cream, but just I mean, he's really off his rocker lately. He's hollering at the reporters. He's screaming at them.
Well,
his handlers are losing control of him, and if they lose too much control of him, he's going to spit out a whole lot of stuff that he don't want nobody to know.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. Do you think he's aware that his days are numbered?
No.
I don't think he is either.
He's got from what I could tell and just from my experience, I'm no doctor, I will not claim to be, but I've dealt with people. He's got dementia. And when you get dementia at a certain point, you get agitation and anger with it. And it's like, okay, pretty much when they're at that point, you don't, they have no clue what they're saying. They have no clue what they're saying. They have no clue what they're doing. They just don't get it.
Right. I think, I also think too that, I don't get into as many political debates online anymore as I used to. I'm tired of them. But I think that I like to ask people who were so dead set on voting for Biden in order to get rid of Trump. I want to ask them what they believe now, 2 years later, that they've gained.
Yeah. In some of the comments, one woman said, I'm going to vote for Biden. I don't care if gas is $10 a gallon. I'm going to vote for Biden, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, and it's
because there's just so much hate in this world. We need to get rid of it.
You know who I'm starting to like a lot. Now, I had said, and don't worry, Ruben, or anybody else, I'm not going to turn this into a political show, but I have said that I'll vote for Trump again. If he wins the nomination, I'll vote for him. I supported him, and I support him now. I think what's happening to him now is a huge political game, and we're seeing it. You've never seen one person so piled on by one side that I think even people who don't like him at all have got to start admitting that, hey, this isn't what's happening to him isn't right.
Yeah.
It's just not right. It's not the way we do things in America. And because as you notice, all these prosecutors, they're trying to get certain dates set for their trials, for their various indictments. Every one of those dates being set is right in the middle of, or at the beginning of primary season.
Yeah.
They're set where he would have to be in court for all of these things during major primaries. So you can tell, and I don't know why the average person, why that's so hard for them to see that this is all a setup. It's all being done to make sure he can't run for office.
Yeah.
They can't legally stop him, so they'll find a way to do an end run.
Yeah.
And I don't care if this would be somebody that I disagree with politically. Um, when you start seeing the powers that be doing this to anybody out there, you start to say, and pardon my lack of cogency in thinking this morning. My brain is not all firing this morning, but you're starting to see that it's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a but it is a something from those on the left that fear losing the power seat. They're finding ways to take out their strongest opponent.
Yeah.
And that's going to be Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And because most of this stuff, you can even see there's already stuff about the prosecutor not having done things the right way. They're cutting corners. They're trying to do whatever they can do to pull him out of the primary season.
Yeah.
And I think the problem they'll have is they're going to find that people aren't going to buy that. They're already not.
I would hope not, but who knows?
Yeah, I would hope not too.
I mean, if he was to drop out of the race tomorrow, all these charges would go away, every one of them.
I think they'd still carry on, but I don't think that they wouldn't drop the charges. They'd still go through the charade. But anyway, I have a real big problem with what's going on. I think as do a lot of you know who I am I'm also liking. I want to see if I can call up something I saw yesterday. Okay, here you go. Do you know is somebody that I like as a candidate? And there are some strong candidates out there on the right. I don't see many strong candidates out. And let me ask you, both Carlene, Ruben, anybody listening, why isn't the left running anybody else?
I think they're waiting to see if Michelle Obama will run. I think they already know she'll run.
Up to say, hey, the leadership we've got could be better. And putting their names in the box. I've heard a couple rumblings out there, but I haven't seen anything really.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, but I think you'll find Michelle will end up running.
Maybe so.
And they don't want to pit anybody up against her, and she'll beat Biden hands down.
Oh, she would. I see several really good candidates on the right that are coming up. You see a Democrat, RFK Jr., a fantastic candidate.
Yeah.
But the left will disavow him because he doesn't operate by most of their principles. So
I think him and Trump even though they're different parties, ought to run together on the same ticket.
They could. There's no reason they couldn't.
No, I think they should. I think both of them together would be. They'd probably fight over who'd be president, vice president, but whatever. I think they would both do together. They would both rattle some cages.
I think.
I'd like to jump in on this and say,
please do.
From the Native American perspective, a lot of Native Americans don't vote. Why? Because we never trusted this government that hurt us over and over. And so coming to New York and meeting my Susie, she turned me on to saying the lesser of two evils, you have to vote. You should vote. And so voting is good. I'm not against it. I wish more of my people did as well. My dad used to say 3 things that kill a marriage. 3 things: sex, politics, religion. and so, you know, I love Scotty as a brother, Chia, older brother. Our politics don't match, but
Yep.
that's okay.
That's all right.
We agree to disagree in many ways,
Yeah.
and we have that right as Americans. So I'm beginning to understand the whole system of voting, and you know what you think you should feel you should do in that way. And everybody has a voice, and praise the gods, we can be able to speak that voice,
Yes,
and
Yeah.
share and talk about if you're for or against or whatever it may be. So
by the way, I see a couple of people mentioning RFK's speaking problem. Do you all know why his voice is like that? It goes all the way back to, I don't know how far back. I want to say as a child, vaccination that he had that went bad, and it ruined his vocal cords, something like that. So he's hard to hear, but I think once you know that, he's easy to listen to. It's like saying, would I be against anybody who has a
speech
disability
impediment,
of some kind for being he's still articulate, and
you know,
so
people don't know that Biden had a speech impediment as well growing up. It comes out every now and then, you know, you hear that, but who am I to judge, you know?
Right. I am finding that you don't like this in the sense that, oh, I love that this is happening, or I relish it. But I like the fact that the things that were suspected about the Biden family, their crimes and so on, that's coming out. It's good that that's coming out. I think Joe Biden is probably going to find, if he has enough presence of mind left to think this way, that he probably should have stayed in retirement prior to running, because he came out the way he is, and the things that they're doing to Trump, I think that fires up the opposite side to say, hey, you're going to keep that stuff up, we're going to come right back at you. And there is so much, and I hear people saying, well, what do we care about Hunter Biden and what Hunter Biden does? It's not Hunter Biden that anybody really cares about. It's Hunter Biden's connections to his dad that would have made his dad a corrupt politician. And so that's what, and some people want to hear it, some people don't want to hear it. I think the stuff that's coming out now, though, if people would pay attention and say, I'm not going to put my head in the sand about this, and listen to the stuff that's coming out, there's a very clear paper trail of
definitely a paper trail with dollar signs on it.
Yep. And dollar signs from other countries, and the places are. It's like I saw somebody comment on this yesterday, just an average person, and they were asking, it's somebody that lives in Hawaii, and he says, now that's interesting. FEMA's doing this and that, and the president has promised $700 a piece to every family affected. He says, wow. He says, I'm sure glad those billions went over to Ukraine and all of that, but we can't help out our own citizens with more than $700 for losing their home. Now, who knows? There might be more that's in the offing. That might be just, well, this is an emergency shot in the arm to help you get by for a couple of weeks until we get some other stuff going on. But I can tell you what, if I had an emergency and $700 came in, that $700 would be gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, I said
gas in my car, or what if you had to stay at a hotel because your house was burned down? What if you have to buy food because you got no food? You got nothing anymore. $700 doesn't go very far. So those emergency funds, I say, why aren't we diverting and going, okay, Ukraine, you know what? We're not going to send you $40 billion this week. We're going to put that into our own people who are suffering over in Hawaii. And so you look at that, and what it does, if you take a step backward and start looking from outside the box at everything that's going on, and you say all the president's current ties to China, his ties to Ukraine, all the things he did prior to becoming president, are those coming to roost for him now? He needs to do certain things in order to either cover his own butt, or do people operate that way? I know the left accused Trump of doing things like that, but there was no paper trail. There was nothing to even follow. They were just accusations to try to say, I hate this guy, so I'm going to throw this stuff out there. Yet with Biden, where there is a vivid paper trail to all of this, and they're uncovering more and more and more, why aren't we hearing more about it in the news? Why aren't we seeing this? If Trump had done half the things they're accusing of Biden doing, now be objective with this. If this had been Trump that they're finding this kind of paper trail, would we have heard about it in the news every day 5 years ago? During his presidency, he'd been
we'd still be hearing about it daily.
Yet with the Bidens, we hear very little. We always see his support on that, and that to me, that grows old, because it looks to me like they're favoring somebody, and the press is favoring somebody. The press is protecting somebody. So I have an issue with that. The way you see Trump being indicted right now, and most of the media coming out, and I saw something the other day where somebody in the media said something to the effect of, Trump faces his fourth indictment because he stated it as a fact, not as an accusation. Because we all know, and he was talking to somebody on his at his desk there. He says, because we all know, Trump led an insurrection and this and that. I go, wait, whoa. You're supposed to be the objective news. You can't say that. You don't know that Trump led an insurrection. He's being accused by certain parties for leading an insurrection. I said, if you look at the facts, this is one of the things that Jack Smith is facing right now. He used some of the things that Trump said on January 6th to the crowds as indictable material, but he omitted whole sentences of Trump. He omitted the things that Trump said next in the very same breath. He omitted those, so he had something that looked more harmful toward Trump. He wasn't going to present the whole sentence. So,
I agree and disagree with you in many ways, Scotty. But in this sense of my Susie and I talk, and we watch CNN every day, and we watch our local news and whatnot. And I miss the days of Walter Cronkite and where they were not politically involved. They were just doing the news. And we get so much of that other aspect now, where you're leaning towards this, you're that. I like Chris Christie on the right, in my own way, but I'm trying to vie as a Native American. And welcome to Hawaii. Welcome to Pine Ridge. We have no homes. We have no plumbers. We have no employment. We're 80% unemployed, and now they know what it feels like to be Native American. Welcome to Native America.
Right.
And the hardship that we've endured. And so I'm trying to weigh it as much as I can, the good against the evil, bad, what's best, not just for me, but for everybody that's in the ghetto or the barrio or the trailer park.
I was watching, and I'll have to pass this guy's name on to you. I'll find him before the end of the show here, but he is just a guy that does YouTube videos, and he does this traveling around the country, doing kind of man on the street stuff, but he did a series of them on different reservations. He's a white guy.
A black guy, right?
No, this guy's a white guy.
Okay.
And he's gone to different reservations. He went to Appalachia, did a lot of things in Appalachia, and he was talking to some of these tribes that, and some of the people he's talking to. I liked when he did something on the Navajo, but like Reuben, it's like the Lakota. There's different tribes within the Lakota. The same with the Navajo. It's not just the Navajo. There's all different kinds of little tribes. And he mentioned another tribe that I don't want to say it was the Hopi, but that comes to mind.
Zuni,
but it was like within the tribal reservation, but they're in their own reservation within the reservation.
That's Hopi. That's Hopi.
It is the Hopi.
I spoke to the Hopi Nation, and they're the original people, like the Cherokee and the Oneida in Wisconsin, and different tribes that were made to walk.
Yes.
To another land.
Yeah.
Navajo came from that too. They came and occupied Hopi territory. So the Hopi,
where were they originally from? Oh, they were originally from. So were they still desert Southwest originally?
Yeah, originally. Okay. Yeah. So like New Mexico. So there's still a lot of Dene, Navajo. They call themselves Dene. And I always instruct people, when you're going to see a Native American tribe, or I'm going to South Dakota to see my Lakota buddy, Reuben, know the people. Don't just go see the Indians.
Right.
And same thing. I'm going to go to the Hopi Nation. Don't worry, be Hopi.
Yes.
That's their
nice.
They got a car sticker for that. So.
But my original point was,
a
lot of these reservations he's going to, you see that they're doing rather well, but all those that are doing well are the ones that they've got the big casinos. And he wasn't a tribal chief, but he was just an average guy. He looked like a guy you'd bump into in Walmart, and he kind of reminded me of some comic character actor I've seen him play Hawaiians. I've seen him play Indians. I've seen him play Japanese, but rather young guy, comparatively speaking. But he kind of goofy looking. And that's what this guy kind of looked like a goofy guy in shorts and a t-shirt. And, oh, yeah, he was talking like this. Yeah, we got this, and he was just kind of funny to listen to. But they came across some older Indian and who was doing his work on the reservation, and they kind of disagreed with each other. The older guy was like, you have to watch out for the government and this and that. And the younger guy's going like, no, that is not the way it works here now. He wasn't not respecting him as an elder. They were conversing, they were discussing. And but anyway, he was driving this interviewer around, showing him places. He says, this is kind of the poorer section over here. These are the people over here that aren't so poor. And and they had some big built up neighborhoods, and all their roads were nice. The school was immaculate. And he says, this is all due to casino money. He says, we were able to put a casino in, and because of that, we've been able to bring money into the reservation. And he said, that's the best part about it. And some of those people, I know they get rich off of it and so on, but I think it's very, what's the word I want to use? Not heartwarming. It's a thought like that. But when you see that a reservation that has built their casino and that is doing well with it, that they give it right back into the community. Now, that doesn't mean you don't have your unscrupulous types. Everybody in business, you find everybody that's scraping as much off the top as they can. I get that. But for the most part, you see even those that you would deem to be not the here, I can only express this by illustrating it fictionally. I was watching the show Yellowstone, and there was in the first or second season of that show, there was the tribal, he wasn't the chief, but he ran the casino. And I think he was a chieftain or the chief. I don't know for sure, but he's a regular guy, suit and tie, and running his business. And he came off as being rather corrupt at first. They played him like a corrupt character, and kind of the antagonist to the Kevin Costner protagonist type character. But then you found, as the shows went on, that what seemed to be the antagonism of this character, who ran the casino, was also the chief, you found that deep in his heart was that desire to bring back his land to his people, to support his people, even though, they had, but they showed the Costner character, who's supposed to be the protagonist, doing the same things from his perspective. They would take people out. They would, it was almost like crime syndicate families, but one side, they're ranchers, they break horses, and they're cowboys, and they're cool, and they're all of this, but they did some of the same things. And it was to keep
to talk about the casinos in that sense.
Yeah.
Originally, it was called the Golden Buffalo, like from Babylon, the golden calf that was supposed to save us. But people don't see the flip side. My resident Standing Rock sits on the straddles the border of North and South Dakota, South Central North Dakota, North Central South Dakota, and it is a double, like your sword behind your head there, Scotty. It's a double-edged sword because you bring a casino in, and sure, it looks good, and people are coming, and there's crab legs Sunday and all the
right,
all that
which
jazz.
Casinos are notoriously,
but underneath all that is corruption. There is corruption. The casino is not a golden calf. It's not a golden bison. It brings bad elements in as well. Mafia, under people, grabbing under the table and stuff like that. I don't care if you're native or not native, but it is something that people need to understand and acknowledge, that it's a double-edged sword. That it's not a saving grace. It's not a golden bison.
Yeah,
politician, says Josh.
Yeah, I was going to say there's one out in New York on an Indian reservation. I forget what the name of it is. All I can think of is Mohegan Sun, and that's the one in Connecticut. But do you guys actually really get any benefit of that being there?
I'm Lakota, so I'm in South Dakota, North Dakota. So
you're the wrong tribe, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong place, wrong.
Yeah, I don't know all the tribes. Like I said, I used to know the Indian tribes around here, and I should, because I just found out that both my great grandmothers were both full-blooded Indian, and me and my aunt have been going to talk about it, but I've been sick and she's been sick, so we haven't gotten. I'm like, wow, it was that close, and she's like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
In Minnesota, they say, you know what the new wine is? We want a casino too.
Yeah. That was the thing about Minnesota. They the Native American reservations could put up casinos.
Shakopee, yeah.
But the and you don't even sometimes. I think most of the people in the state of Minnesota don't even realize when they're driving through reservation territory, like Shakopee. Where the Renaissance Festival is. The Renaissance Festival isn't on reservation land, but you're surrounded by it there. But Rapid Dog says, how do you build a casino if you're broke? Well, I think that's some of the corruption that probably Ruben is hinting at. It's not all corrupt on its surface, but I think they can probably present they being the Native American Tribal Council, whoever has to okay that, the people involved in building one, outside people coming in and saying, you can have white as folk coming into these Native American reservations and saying, hey, we'll build you a casino, but here's the deal, and here's the deal we have to make. And just like any other business, I think it's done that way, because they realize, say I had the money to build a casino, I could go into a reservation and say, let's cut us a deal. I want to make money off the casino. I want to get filthy rich, which I know I will. Otherwise, I wouldn't put the money into it. But it's going to be your casino. Here's the deal we cut. I'm sure there are all kinds of deals like that made that are not illegal deals. They're just the way they do business.
Yeah.
Where do you think? Go ahead, Ruben.
It's not illegal. It's this.
Yes.
It's federal. I have to carry a card, and blacks, Asians, Latinos, white people don't have to carry a card to prove that I'm actually. And you see that number there, enrollment number. I was thinking about tattooing that on my arm, just like
nice.
The Jews did to the Nazis did to the Jews, because we're federal, and even in the Constitution of the United States, it still calls us savages. So that's why we can do a casino. That's why we can do cheaper cigarettes.
Because what? See, this is how my morning is going. My brain is so tired I can't think of the words I normally use. You are an independent nation within a nation under federal control.
But we're really not independent. But
really not. Yeah.
And treaties are international law. You cannot break a treaty. Yet every treaty with the Native Americans, the American government has done that. And that's why every one of them. We don't want to vote. No president has come on. Obama was the last one that came onto the Standing Rock, but Clinton came to Pine Ridge. But it's kind of like a shame factor that America's shamed. And when people come as a tour guide in South Dakota, Rapid City, for the Black Hills, Devil's Tower, Badlands, and whatnot, yada, 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 the people that were more in tune with us were foreigners, people that came from overseas. And these are the people that came to this country escaping religious persecution, religious whatever it is, politics, and they turned it on us. They persecuted us, took away our land, took away our water, took away our children, took away our culture, took away our language, took away our spirituality. 1978, we got to finally pray like we used to. Land of the free, home of the brave, bullshit. No, it's not. It's not. This country is based on genocide, slavery, and racism. And it's up to us to not be doomed to repeat our history by knowing our history. That's why I love about you, Scotty, because you're a reenactor like me. And so we repeat, we talk about the real. It's crucial. It's hard. I was, I don't know if you know Blue Frog, but Pierre.
Yes.
I think he's still going. And Pierre Uby. But I did my show at where you were at in Bloomington, and I was doing my show, and it was a bit harsh. I was really telling the true history, what happened, like I'm saying now. And Pierre came up to me and said, Ruben, it's really good that you're doing your cultural and historical aspects and the real deal. But he said, look in the front row. That little girl could be the next president. That little black kid could be the next congressman. And he put things in perspective, like, you don't have to sugarcoat it. I mean, if you just touch upon but make people aware. And so our consciousness expands. And so when you do your show, we expand our consciousness a little bit more, and you cannot unexpand it. want to expand it. So here we are talking about right wing, left wing, whatever, red states, blue states. I saw a card yesterday that had a bumper sticker that said, "This car is a blue car."
Jesus.
Yeah, so
Nice.
people are really, so if it's not sex, it's not religion, it's politics that are going to kill a marriage, a relationship in that way.
And it's really easy to get caught up in the red-blue thing and the politics of things. I get caught up into it only because I say there are certain things I think that need to happen in our country that are not going to happen the right way if you get that party in, or they're not going to happen they're going to happen the wrong way if you get that party in. So there is a vital necessity of voting, a vital necessity behind that. I know right now many on the left are trying to push for the abolishment of the Electoral College, but that would be devastating to our system of government. What they forget is that we are not a democracy. We are a republic, and we have laws about voting. We have strictures about how that's to be done. We have the Electoral Colleges there to represent, so that you don't have New York and Los Angeles winning every election. Whichever way those two cities go, that's going to be the way the country goes, obviously. So we've got an electoral system in place, so that doesn't happen.
It's interesting you say that, Scotty, because when Obama came on deck in his two-term reign, which was fine with me, but it's nice to have a black president. And I'd like to see a lesbian.
He's in his third term right now, so
president. So saying that to say this, I think about Star Trek and Star Wars in the sense of this way that in the time that Obama came on deck, people from the Virgin Islands and different colonies, American colonies, that wanted to vote, and people that were, have American corporations like Nike in Malaysia, they wanted to vote too. And I think we're kind of looking at that in a sense of, let's bring these people on deck as well, because they're affected by us as Americans, and they have a voice and they have a say and they have power, and so let it be done, in that way.
Well, I think this is why you're seeing a big. It's not a push yet. I wouldn't call it a push, but you're seeing the chains being rattled that immigrants who are not citizens should have the right to vote. And I say, no, they should not. They're not citizens.
You want to vote,
become reserved for the citizen of the country.
No, I beg to differ because I'm the original American. I'm the original American of anybody who's come overseas, and you and both of you, and they have a right to speak. They have a right to say, Canadians, and I'm saying this to say that even when Schwarzenegger was governor,
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
he should be able to become president if he wanted to, because we're moving in that direction.
I think I would agree with you on that point. I think there's a point where if you were born in another country, what does being born on our soil
have to do with it?
Why should that make any difference if you are a citizen? Arnold Schwarzenegger became a citizen of this country. Now, if he was still an Austrian citizen, I would say no. He has to be a citizen of this country. To vote, you should have to be a citizen of the country. You have the right to vote, Ruben, even though you are a citizen of your particular tribe, your reservation. You're an independent nation within a nation. You still have a right to vote in a federal election. You still have a right to vote in a national election. A state election. But I do not think that migrants who come here either seeking asylum or wanting to set up permanent residence here and so on and become citizens, I don't think they should be allowed the right to vote until they are citizens.
No, they are citizens.
You can't come in here to our country, as benevolent as we might be, as much as we lift that lamp beside the golden door, there are still laws we have to abide by. And one of those laws is you have to be a citizen of this country in order to vote to change the process. You can't be somebody who's not a citizen to vote to change what exists here, to change the president, to change the senator, to change the law, who ultimately would change the laws of the land, the way we do things. You need to be a citizen here to do that. And
it's curious that you're saying that, because at the same time, I'm not a Trumpster, but I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything like that, but most presidents that have been elected were lawyers. You should know the judicial system. You should know the law. You should be able to be a graduate of some kind to do that. And Trump made his money here in New York.
Real estate.
And
real estate.
Not really. It's from his dad, who invented the car garages in Manhattan and the Lower East Side and whatnot. And so he made billions. And so he just sold that onto Trump. And Trump's not a lawyer. He should be a lawyer. No. I mean, if you're a president, you should know some kind of law. You
should know something about the law. I know before Trump had announced that he was running for president, a lot of people were saying, we need a businessman in the office, somebody who can run this country like a business, like it should be. And then he put his hat in the ring. Then everybody was like, well, not you. We just need a businessman. Not you.
Well, he's been bankrupt so many times.
Well, I know I've heard that before too. He's bankrupted out of over 500 companies that he owns.
Oh, wow.
He's bankrupted 4 of them.
Yep.
And that's it. That's the total sum of how many companies he bankrupted.
But how many other people in Washington, D.C. haven't filed bankruptcy or something by now?
Right. Something I pulled up a while ago. I wanted to bring this up. I'm a Trump guy. I would vote for Trump if the election was today. I'd go out and vote for Trump because I believe in what he was doing. I don't believe he was a criminal. I really don't. Those are, as Kenny B would say, those are chump charges.
Yep.
It's trying to get him out of the way. And they might be successful at that. But I'd vote for him again. But at the same time, there are other people I would support.
Yep. And
this is where, Ruben, you were saying sometimes it's the lesser of two evils. If I saw Trump is running now, if I were to vote for him or vote for somebody else, I have to determine where the power of my vote is going to go. So I have to I have to vote smart. I have to say, I may like this other guy better, but he's not going to win the election. And you go, and of course the argument is, well, if everybody would vote, but it's not going to happen. It never does. Yeah. There's always, spoilers that are out there. We've seen it happen time and time again. It divides the vote, and you hate to say it that way, but it really comes down to one or the other. Is the way your vote has to go. Rarely do you see a third party. Have you ever seen a third party win the presidency? No. No. I do think the presidency is an important role. It's an important office. You can see in the world today, look at the way the world reacts to us today, looking at the leader we have right now. We don't project strength. We don't, which you need to have. Now, this is something I saw Jordan Peterson saying it. He was talking to Bill Maher. And they were talking about, Bill Maher asked him, you said something about being a dangerous man. And he said, yeah. He said, and Ruben, I know you would agree with this. Take the out of it altogether. And I don't think Jordan Peterson was presenting it as political. He said, you have to be a dangerous man or a dangerous person. And he said, what I mean by that is not being a violent person, but a person who is capable of doing violence. And he said in order to protect those around you, you have to have the ability to be dangerous, even though you don't use that unless you are forced into using it. And he said, what good does it do to be weak and say you're dangerous? He says, you're not dangerous if you're weak. You're dangerous if you're strong. And he said, now I would apply that to politics. I would look at the way the world is looking at us right now. There's a lot of polite world politicians out there that they look at Joe Biden. And this isn't just a slam on Biden. This would be a slam I would use on somebody. Let's say I voted for somebody and they turn into a weak president, ineffectual, feckless, not quite sure of where they are. I'd be really worried about the picture my president was giving the rest of the world. Because while we might know, we all know that's just a guy that's in the office. But the way the world is, the way it's perceived in the world is, if we've got a guy that's in the office that is weak, that does not have the abilities, then that projects a picture of weakness in our country. And so I think we need a strong leader. I don't care if he's on the left or if he's on the right. He's got to be strong. He's got to be dangerous. Dangerous not in that he is a violent president, but dangerous in that he offers to the world to say, look, we can do some wonderful, amazing things if we work together. But if you cross this line, I will crush you. There's that idea of you have to have strength to back up.
Two things I want to springboard off of that. I agree. We need somebody firm yet supple in the sense of being able to be diplomatic and whatnot. But Bob Marley had an assassination attempt on him in the 70s. Bob Marley.
Yeah, a
singer. He came back the next day. It wasn't fatal, thank goodness, but he got shot in the shoulder. But then the very next day he got up and he went back and did his concert. And people said, why did you come back? You should be resting. You should be healing up. He said, evil does not take a day off. Why should I? Why should I?
Why should
evil
I?
does not take a day off.
Yep.
Why should I? And that's what I think about when you're saying that.
Yeah.
And how the second thing I wanted to say was that being firm but flexible in that sense of a real leader. And since Vietnam, the war in Vietnam, we have stuck our nose into other people's territories and cultures and help everybody. And the presidency is not a Hollywood platform. It's not a studio. It's just do your job and do it well for the people. I don't care if you had sex with the Stormy Animals or
I really don't care. Yeah.
Stormy Daniels or animals or whatever she is now, or Pete Clinton's business with Monica Lewinsky. All that stupidity is not necessary for me. In that way. I come from the poorest place in America, the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and we're more concerned not about mascots or anything like that. We're more or casinos. We're concerned about where's my next meal coming from? Can I get gas in my tank?
Right.
And it's not just the reservation; it's the barrio.
Damn it, that is something that bothers me. That you can pose that and say, where is you got these reservations on our own soil that are deemed American citizens.
Sovereign nations,
independent nations
within the sovereign nation.
They're sovereign within the United States. But what bothers me is that What do you think $200 billion that we've sent to Ukraine so far, what impact do you think half of that amount would have on Indian reservations? Would that be helpful? Would that help?
No.
Again, now, a good question, and I'm going to say this to say that unfortunately, as Native people, we are ill-equipped. The selling of Manhattan was done through beads. I saw the beads displayed one time, and the guy doing it was Native, but he had short hair and wore a suit and tie, and he had a book open. This is in Crazy Horse Mountain in Black Hills, South Dakota, and he just had a display case of these chevron beads, huge, bigger than my thumb. And there were the trade. So how do you explain a concept of sell and buy to people that never had a sell and buy system, barter system?
Right.
And so they came in thinking, oh, we just bought this island, Manhattan, and it was a neutral ground for the Six Nations, Onondaga, Cayuga, Tuscarora, Seneca, Mohawk, Oneida peoples that would go there is neutral ground to hunt. And so they thought, oh, the Dutch came because
we just sold it to them for some beads.
Yeah,
just some beads. And they called it New Amsterdam before it became New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Indians came back the next summer to hunt, and there was all these fences up around the whole place because the Dutch believed they bought the land. So what I'm trying to say is, telling that story is to tell this story that it's corrupt. It's corrupt. I'm sorry, but even my own people, if I have any prejudice against anybody, it's my own people, because they are ill-equipped like the Indians were with the Dutch. And you give them a lot of money, they're just going to
Well, see, I would think that if we used money to help
Ukraine,
say, like you mentioned, the most impoverished place in the United States, the Pine Ridge Reservation. Let's say we wanted to do what we could to help the reservation pull themselves up out of poverty. It's going to take people coming in, like the people who would come in and say, "Let's build a casino here. I'll fund it. And it'll be a Native American casino, but I'm running it. I'm making the money, descent, but I'm going to fund it for you. It would have to be. Now, granted, there are places we need to put our money. The United States, we need to help our allies. I get that. That has to be there. But there is such, and again, I'm going to be talking, anybody listening to this, incredibly superficial what I'm saying, because I don't have details in front of me. I didn't even prepare myself to talk about this in any way, shape, or form. But
sorry, I jumped in your lap.
No, that's okay.
You walked into it.
Yeah, I did. I know enough superficially to get myself in trouble. But
I think we all do, but okay.
There are places we need to put our money outside of this country.
Yep.
We need to support our allies. We need to support a presence in the world. The reason we do that is because we need to present ourselves as dangerous in a good sense. That danger I'm talking about. You are not dangerous if you do not have the strength to back it up. So you have to do certain things to say, we are here. We're like the Federation, in Star Trek. We're here to make a better world, a better universe, a galaxy, a better world. Yeah, live long and prosper. We're here to do that. But if we do not have the military apparatus underneath our belts, we have no power to implement anything. We have no power to protect anything. And so it's sad to say, but if you want to come in and present an order of new things that is a good thing, many times that is going to have to take the power to preserve it. And now, like Gandhi, that's different. He was an individual. He headed up a movement. But what happens when you have a movement? You've got a guy like Gandhi that stands for something. When those people start that movement, and that movement becomes so proliferated that there is a power that builds with it. There has to be a power to maintain it.
That reminds me of Roosevelt. Carry a big stick. We'll walk quietly.
Well,
The Rapid Dog just said, was it Rapid Dog that said it? We were talking about
Elvis.
He said, how about, it was Elvis. He said, how about Teddy Roosevelt? He got shot and still finished his speech.
now really weird question. We're sending billions over to Ukraine and wherever, and I understand, we have to help support them. How many of those countries are going to come over here when war hits the United States again and actually help us? Or how many of those are actually going to send money back to help us?
Right.
When they can't even fend for them, when they can't even fend for themselves.
This is something I like that Trump did. He told some of those NATO nations, he said, look, the United States is footing the bill here and always has. He said, it's time for, you want to talk about fair share? He said, it's time for Germany and these other nations to step up and pay their fair share. If not, he says, we're pulling out.
Yep.
We're going to stop sending our money if you don't start ponying up your share. He says, why should we support your share of this? And guess what happened? They ponied up their share because he was a dangerous man. He had power beneath his words to back something up. Now, is that violence he would have committed? No. But it was the power to say, if you don't do this,
we're not going to do that.
Thing to do. We're not going to support you. So
it's interesting you say that, because I know for a fact. Und ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, ich auch. I speak German as well, and because Ash was half German Australian, and my first wife was German American, and so we went to Germany and we talked. I wanted to get a swastika flag or something just for it, because the swastika is not a bad thing. It's actually Germany made it bad because they flipped it, because the real swastika is Native American and it means migration, and the Himalayans monks see that on the Buddha's 5 toes are swastikas all across on every toe. So it's really a good symbol that was converted bad, just like a cross.
Right.
The cross was Roman torture way of executing people. But now, so I asked my teacher, Father Steve Mitten, in high school, I said, if Jesus died in an electric chair, would we have electric chairs around our necks?
Yeah.
He said, yes.
Maybe to simplify it, it would be an electric bolt.
There you go. There you go.
But the whole, going back to what you said earlier, the thing that cures poverty, even on my reservation, is education. Education is the tool to defeat all, help our allies, help the poor people, because you get them to think for themselves. They're no longer sheep. They're the shepherd. They become the shepherd.
Why?
Like what
we have? I said this a few years ago on radio. I said, why don't we start a movement to reclaim the swastika? I said, why don't we reclaim it? Because it was a symbol of peace. It was a symbol of internal power and through peace and so on. And I said, why can't we reclaim that? Because a bunch of bastards bastardized it and ruined it. And I said, why couldn't I put a swastika on a shirt and say, this is because I stand for what it originally stood for? It's because somebody ruined it. And not just ruined it in a small way, in a very big way.
It's funny you say that, because I spoke at a concert all black, all African American, South Chicago. I was the lightest person, skin color there.
Wow.
And they had like a marketplace and all the wares. And there was a very old black woman, like you talked about the T-shirt. She had a black T-shirt that said across her chest, "Daughter of a black slave."
Yeah.
So if we're not willing to talk about slavery or genocide or exact same point, I totally agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would flip the swastika over though, because
flip it back to the way it was originally done.
Right, exactly. And
I put up a post about a week ago about a pot that they found in Britain, and it went back to Roman Britain, so it's 2,000 years old, and it showed two gladiators fighting, and it was in relief on this clay pot, and it actually had the names of the gladiators, which you didn't ever see anywhere.
Wow.
He said, which was what made this so unique, that the name of this guy defeating this guy. But on his shield there was a little swastika running up the side of the shield. And he goes, and here you have the swastika. He says, which meant something very different 2,000 years ago. So
no, it's interesting you say that, because even Native American men, that's why when I did perform, I always just wore a loincloth sometimes, barefoot, bare-chested, whatnot, to prove the point that shame was taught to us about our bodies. And a lot of Native American men fought nude. They just went into battle nude because quicker, faster, harder.
Yeah, ladies, you'd have liked Ruben's reenactments. He walked around with his butt cheeks hanging out of those breech clouts. And
didn't show anything, though.
No, you didn't see anything. And he had this lean. Oh, look at me! I'm talking in the past tense. That was a Freudian slip. No, he had this lean musculature, and the long silky black hair and the breech clout, and he'd walk around with his matunkahe. Is that actually a real word? Matunkahe?
Today I'm wearing like the kilt.
There you go. You're in the kilt today.
Industrial.
Right.
So bare-legged.
Yeah. There it is.
Man.
To a breech clout.
Modern breech clout. Yeah.
I got two kilts hanging in. I used to say, I'm so Scottish, I have more plaid skirts than a Catholic schoolgirl hanging in my closet.
Scotty was the first guy to put me in a kilt, a real kilt. I mean,
the big 9 yards.
You have to, like a toga almost.
Yeah.
But he would. I say, so don't they ever? I said to Scotty, I said, don't they ever make fun of you because you're wearing a skirt or a kilt? Or Scotty taught me. He said, it's only a kilt if I have my heels on.
If I had the corresponding pumps.
Now, see, when we were growing up, and we'd go to the parades where like the guys would come in their kilts, and it's like, wonder what we can see under there.
Yeah, really. Well, we used to do that at the festival, the Renaissance. We'd have kilt days.
My underwear.
I've told these stories before, but we'd have all the patron women would be like, "Oh, tee-hee, what's a real Scotsman wear beneath his kilt?" And we'd always say things like, "Well, it depends on what color lipstick you're wearing, lad." Or, well, what do you wear beneath your kilt? Why, my socks and shoes, of course. So we had everything from bawdy and dirty to.
I learned the term regimental.
Regimental.
You don't wear any underwear.
Yeah, there's no underwear.
I was going to say, if you're real Scottish, you don't wear it.
We were doing a battle reenactment that I believe you were part of at Crossroads Rendezvous out in Saukville. And we did the Highland Charge and against the French and the Indians. And James Keel, one of our guys, he draws his Scottish backsword, which is just like that one hanging right there. His big Scottish backsword, basket hilted. And he's brandishes that over his head. And he gives the order. It's an actual old 18th century order, and he orders everybody to charge. And he starts running, and in 3 steps, he stumbles. He hits a gopher hole, I don't know what it was. Stumbles and goes down, face plants, as we're all running behind him, all our troops. But as he face plants, his kilt flips up over his back, and he's got his bare ass revealed to the sky. And of course, we're doing this for an audience. There are hundreds of people. It's a festival, and they're all watching this.
Little kids, even.
And so as we're running by, we're going, ah, with our swords. We run by, and somebody leans over and flips his kilt back over his ass. And the announcer's going, and so the Scots have started their Highland charge, but I think we just lost our PG rating.
Oh, yes, my
he
word.
was bare-assed. Yes, he was. Subspace Radio. That's Russ. Everybody say hey to Russ over on Subspace Radio. So, hey, one thing I wanted to get to that I haven't gotten to yet. I pulled this up because I wanted to read this. I heard this. If you have heard, and I started by saying, and I rabbit trailed off of it, talking about Trump, and that I would vote for Trump. But I dare say that if he did not get the nomination, I probably wouldn't vote for him. Only because there needs to be a united front to change the power structure that exists. So I probably wouldn't vote for him. I'd vote for the leading candidate. Not that I can't think for myself, but if the leading candidate who gets the nod in the Republican Party is not Trump, I would think, even though I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative, I would have to vote for the person who is getting the nod. So, not that those people haven't been, but even Reagan, who ran as an independent, got the nod. But I was looking at one of the candidates I really like is, and you've probably seen him speak, is Vivek Ramaswamy, of Indian descent. Indian, as Ruben taught me once, dot no feather. So that kind of Indian. And younger man, he's probably the youngest man. I thought he said he was either the youngest man ever to run for president or the youngest man in the field today. I can't remember which it is. But he's a multi-billionaire. He built his business out of whatever. I don't know much about his business. But he has come off very strong. And one thing that was being noted about him was that even when he is in these controversial conversations, there was a clip that went viral the other day where a young LGBTQ person confronted him at a state fair last week and asked him about, well, what happens to basically talking about LGBTQ rights and so on. And he, while he disagreed with her, he was very polite. And he was very charming, and he was very open. And he even said several times, he says, you and I don't have to agree in order to be unified. And so he gave this, but he came out with his list, what he's calling his 10 commandments of the 2024 election. And this is what he stands for. Now, I wanted to read these, and they're real simple. It's just a bullet-pointed list. And you can see what you think of this. Here's what he said. This is what I stand on, he said. Number 1, God is real. Number 2, there are 2 genders. Number 3, human flourishing requires fossil fuels. Number 4, reverse racism is racism. Number 5, an open border is no border. Number 6, parents determine the education of their children. Oops, I just hit the button to see the rest of the list, and it took me somewhere else. Here we go. Parents determine the education of their children. Number 7, the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind. Number 8, capitalism lifts people from poverty. Number 9, there are 3 branches of the U.S. government, not 4. And 10, the U.S. Constitution is the strongest guarantor of freedoms in history. And those are the things he stands on. The last one being the Constitution doesn't create rights, it guarantees them.
I like what you said because it makes a lot of sense, common sense in many ways. And no one's wanting to say that.
Yeah.
In many ways. But he is what you would call Indian American.
Yes, Indian American.
I am American Indian. And only I learned that because I was doing a show and I was crossing. I came from Denver and I had to be on a Friday night or finish my show in Denver. And then I had my agent said I had to be in Toledo, Ohio, Monday. So all weekend I drove. So I get there and I drive by a temple. This obviously looks like the Taj Mahal. And it said, please join us in our Indian American service, as opposed to American Indian. So
isn't that a mouthful? I'm an American Indian American.
Yeah.
Do I have 2 hyphens in there, or am I Indigenous American?
So I go to the liquor store, and the owner is Indian American. So I said, so Indian to Indian, can you tell me a deal?
Nice.
I
do not think that means the same thing.
I'm American Indian. I said, I'm Native American, but you're Indian, you know.
Right.
It's just kind of, it's funny how, you know, things collide in that way. But I was going to say this, is the pendulum finally going the other way?
I think we're starting to see some of that. Yeah.
It's interesting because I was in my Native American regalia. It's not a costume. It's not Halloween, but my powwow.
Nice Indian costume you got there, Ruben.
And so I was in my loincloth and leggings, and I had to use a porta potty. So I was do my business, and it's really hard to do that in a loincloth. You got to take it off.
Easy to do in a kilt.
Yeah,
I was gonna say easy to do in a kilt.
Exactly. So I take the loincloth out and do my business, and I stand up, but I didn't lock the door.
Oh.
And I stood up, and I was just stretching, just like, you know, nothing between my leggings or anything. And the door opens, and there's 5 teenage girls.
Oh no!
And you're like, "Whoa, hello."
I didn't come out for a half hour.
I'm Ruben Fasthorse, and this is Little Bear.
It's funny that, you know, the guy in the kilt fell, and
you know, James
ended up
the show, and I did my own version. You know,
I haven't been to too many reenactments, but I guess I ought to get my real gear. Go to a few. There's a few down the road from me.
So
you know, there's a couple of things about
half hour later. I come out and I see all 5 girls. You know,
oh no,
all waiting a tree, and they're all giggling and pointing. And
can we get your autograph?
Gosh, I should have. Yeah.
So we were at the festival, and we used to have, you know, the functional cod pieces on our pantaloons or our leggings, our tights, whatever you want to call them. I had black velvet tights that I'd wear. I had a leather doublet, you know, with all the silver lions and the fleur-de-lis and all of that. And I had black velvet tights and then big black leather bucket boots that would come up over my knee. And so I had the big boots and the velvet leggings. But then I had a functional codpiece on it. And that functional codpiece was one that I had right there in that triangular area, I had 2 big gold buttons with the Tudor rose on them, and they kept that thing buttoned up. And it's basically tights with a slit in it for your junk, and then the same fabric sewn onto the outside, but it's buttoned open. You can open and close it so you can pee.
Flat. Yeah.
But all the junk comes out through the slit. I mean, we're talking Long John Silver and his 2 cabin boys have to come out of the slit and hang in the codpiece.
The banana and the plums. Yeah.
There it is. And but there was one day I looked down and I wasn't fully revealed, but I realized my button, one of the gold buttons was, buttons, it starts to unravel. And so you got this long ravelly string, and that's what alerted me. I'm walking along and there's this button and I'm like, what is that? And it's like, uh-oh. And we've had times where the guy who plays the king, he was sitting and he was holding court under a tree for the children. He was doing a children's thing and he's meeting kids, and he stood up and his codpiece fell open. And I'm like, Your Majesty. And he goes, oh. He says, well, there went our G rating, he said.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Talking about going to use the privy while at the festival, when I was Royal Guard, the costumes or the clothing, it's really period clothing that we had to wear was, let's say you had to go really bad. And I'm talking about not just number 1, we're talking number 2. And it hits you and you're out on the street and you're entertaining and you go, oof, Call of Duty is coming on. And you run backstage for a privy. And first of all, you've got the way we dressed, the tights. Usually we had them built into like a one piece, like a unitard, I guess they call them, where it went like suspenders up over your shoulders. It was a one-piecer. I had Raini do that, so I wasn't constantly hiking my tights up during the day. So I put those on with the codpiece. But then I'd take my shirt, my blousey shirt, whatever shirt I wore, and that would go over my tights, the one piece. And then on top of that, I would have my doublet, my leather doublet. And when we were Royal Guard, we had the beefeater looking frock that went over that.
Oh, geez.
And then a big sash would tie around that, a black sash with a black leather sword belt. And we looked like the beefeaters. And then we had the big boots, of course, and all of that. But I remember there were days where this only happened to me once or twice my whole festival life. You're running for that privy backstage, and people are backstage. They're going, "Hey, Scotty, I gotta talk." And you're running. The sword belt comes off. You drop it. You're running. Drop the sword belt. The sash goes flying. The big beefeater thing. You're running and you're pulling this thing, heavy wool, over your head. And it's thrown. Then you're down to your shirt. Shirt comes off because you got to get at the harness to pull that down. By the time you're walking into the privy, you've got a trail of swords, knives, outer clothing, belts, sashes, costumes, leather, a big trail for about 25, 30 feet. And you enter that privy, you're already pulling those straps down. And then you sit down and you just barely make it. But because you're cheating death right there, you sit down and it was usually kaploosh. And you're like, oh, I'm done. And then it took you 15 minutes to get dressed again.
Yeah.
It's when we did Bloomington together.
Yes.
That whole week was all shows,
Bloomington, by the way, folks, was the suburb of Minneapolis
Soccer
where the
fields.
park was, and the Bloomington park system did a big multi-era rendezvous every year for
And so you had like the Civil War camp, the Red War, Native American, everybody. And Blue Frog Pierre would say, here come those orange caterpillars spitting out little maggots. All the kids out there.
Yes.
But I was there and I was doing it was hot, as you know, and I was doing my program just in my loincloth, barefoot, bare-chested, loose hair, and just because, and then I'd use a language and sing because this is what you would see a Native American to look like at that time and period. And I know in Wisconsin, I lived in Milwaukee, there was a huge influx of Hmong, 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 Vietnamese migrants. But in Minnesota, it was a huge Somalian influx. Somalians came and they worked the jobs that nobody wanted.
Right.
And so I was in my loincloth doing a program and it didn't bother the white kids or the Latino kids, but all the Somalian girls that were teenagers, they all had like veils and head wraps and gowns and whatever. They were all interrupting my program by pointing and laughing because here's a guy in a loincloth. What's he doing? So we were doing living history. And so I kept muscling through and kept trying to speak and talk and share and sing and whatnot. And finally, the white teachers couldn't control them because they were just giggling and giggling and giggling, in that way. The way white Christian women saw us as, oh, they're nude, they're naked, because whatever. So this black African-American from the ghetto girl stands up and she turns around and looks at them and she said, she defended me. She said, and look at you, you got a towel on your head and a bed sheet around your body. And the teachers couldn't do anything. I kept going. I just kept going and going.
Yeah.
But all the Somalian girls sat down. They didn't know what to do.
Right.
They were afraid of her. So
I was gonna, let's see. I am looking to see if I've got any pictures of you in my album for the regiment, and I'm not sure that I do. Let's see. I'm not sure if I do, but
probably in the X-rated.
Yeah, the X-rated pictures
files.
Yeah.
Now, Ruben, I have a weird question, and I'm not asking to offend you or anything, and I don't think it will.
No,
but you said something about carrying a card. Why is that?
That's because we are federally recognized.
Oh, okay.
For the government, and that's why they still haven't changed the U.S. Constitution, calling us savages. We're the original citizens.
Yep.
But we're in our own category. That's why we are federally recognized.
Oh, okay.
A sovereign nation within a sovereign nation, and that's all the reservations are. So
well, I was just curious because you brought up, tattooing it on your arm, and I'm like, that kind of really, like, I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but this was like, okay.
Well, like I said, the people that were persecuted left their own country to come here only just to persecute us.
Yep.
In that sense, and so my Susie, my girlfriend's Jewish, and we were talking, and I was just saying that, and she's the one that's always saying, show your card. You need to awaken consciousness. You need let people know that you're a sovereign nation within a sovereign nation, but you're recognized through this card.
Yeah. And, I mean, from history, I know how bad they persecuted the American Indian and all that, and drove them off their lands. And I'm like, well, why is this card? Is that something to do? And I'm like, that's just totally uncool.
Well, it's also, it deals with treaties, and as I said before, treaties are international law. You cannot break a treaty, but the American government has every time.
This
is why I think
they give us land and commodities, healthcare, land, commodities, rations they would give us, but many times the meat they sent was rancid.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yep.
I do think there needs to be a little more taught in schools about this. There
does. Like I said,
in social studies, they cover Native Americans, but they don't know a lot of these details.
Yeah.
And it's funny. There's something you can look up, Jeff Daniels on YouTube, and it's called "America is Not That Great," and it talks about how we're like 20th in math in the world as Americans. Our education is lower. All these different statistics of what we think. America is not just a land of the free, home of the brave. Canada is freedom. Britain is freedom. New Zealand, Australia, Germany, they all have freedom. But we think in that mindset that we are the greatest country in the world. We're we're not.
Definitely not.
But I will say this: with all our faults, we're probably one of the best places to be. I would think, because we have a republic that has given us a constitution that doesn't give us rights, but recognizes that we all have innate rights. We all have human rights. We all have God-given rights, if you will, as it states. And the Constitution is only there to secure those, to protect them. And what people forget, and this is when I talked about the Constitution last week, I did 3 shows on it, deciphering the Constitution, understanding it, is that we are not subjects to the government. We are not subservient to the government. We made the government. Generally, if you think, Ruben, in your own Native American culture, and Carlene and I in our own culture, religiously, spiritually, we all have our gods. We all have our creators. We all have. How many times did the creator create something and the creator became subservient to the thing he created? Never. He was always the creator. He was always the superior being. I think it's the same with when you look at the federal government. Who created the federal government? It didn't create itself. The states created the federal government. Who created the states? The citizens. This is why we have we the people, because we the people created our government, then our states' governments, then our states' governments created the federal government. The federal government is subservient to the states. And so it's the states' governments. When we had all this caterwaul last year about the Supreme Court, it got leaked that they were doing something with Roe v. Wade and abortion. Here's the thing is that, and it got remanded. Nobody did anything to anybody's rights. They just said, this is not the federal government's power.
Decision. Yep.
It's not. It belongs to the states. Now, the states are going to have different opinions, as we've seen. And but that's the way a republic works. That's the way a government of the people works. You can't vote to have the federal government supersede the power of the states. It can't be done. It's unconstitutional. And so the federal government is always subservient to the states. And all the Supreme Court did in that case was they sent the decision to do that back to the states where it belongs. People go, well, we don't have a common law then on it. Well, no, you don't, because it's state's law.
I beg to differ on that in many ways. Before there was an America, there was ancient America. And Benjamin Franklin came to the Six Nations in New York and counseled with them many, many times. And they taught him, when you look at a dollar bill to this day, on the backside, you see an eagle holding
arrows,
13 arrows and a laurel leaf for peace. The 13 arrows is what they taught Benjamin Franklin, because there were confederacies up and down from Florida to Maine where they counseled together, these linguistic tribes under the umbrella of their languages. So they said a nation like our 6 nations, an arrow, you can break it. But if you get 6 arrows, it's harder.
Right.
13 arrows on the dollar bill that the eagle holds. It's the 13 colonies. And so this America is founded on ancient America, Native America, in our confederacies and our policies, diplomacy, and things like that. And the states are trying to follow suit in many ways. Minnesota is the only, I think, and Oklahoma are the only state flags that have Native Americans on it.
Yeah.
They don't have it. Nobody else does. So it's
interesting on the Minnesota state flag. It's got the Indian riding his horse in the background and the white farmer, the pioneer, in the foreground. He's got a shotgun up against the stump.
Oh, geez, no.
I thought that was interesting.
Just in case, yeah.
On there.
So yeah, it's interesting. I love this dialogue that we're having because it's educational in many ways, modernly and primitively, the way this country came to be. And unless we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it, as I said before. So,
or like them trying to erase history.
You're yeah. So education is the key, and keep learning, because I'm not done learning. So many times I should have died. I had brain surgery, 16 staples. I fell down a flight of stairs. All this stuff happened to me, but to me, I say, grandfather's not done with me yet.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Or you.
We all have our number, and when that number is up, that's when your time is up, and that's it. I mean, I don't care how you push it.
And I'm 52, and what I've learned as the mind is 18, but the body is 52. And so it's just a matter of dealing with ageism. Okay.
Did you see the graphic for today's show? I've got the little kid with the white hair and the white goatee and mustache, but he's a little kid. So here. Oh, by the way, I wanted to share this with you. I don't think I have any pictures of you, Ruben, in here. I've got other pictures. I've got a DVD that somebody put together years ago from our regiment, and that DVD has all these pictures for all our different events that we did. I'm sure you're in there somewhere. But here, folks, I wanted to show you this. We've got, I'm going to share my screen with you, my entire screen. And share. Boom. That's what it looks like. But let's go over here to my Facebook. This is the regiment that we did. And again, I have no pictures of Ruben in here. But this is the event. Here is Leon Stanzalone. Do you remember Leon Stanzalone?
Oh, yeah. I'm still friends with him. Yeah.
He did a big, he'd set up that big teepee. That was at our events. We've got, this is when we were starting to line up to do some reenactments. Ruben, that is not you there. That's but he was eventually part of this when we got everybody mustered up together. And there's one of our guys is dead. That might have been James. No, that wasn't that scene, because there would have been a whole lot more people there and we would all been running. But
hey,
this is, I thought I'd show you all a couple of pictures. This is it's not as big as I would have liked it to be, but that was our regiment. That's at the Saukville rendezvous, and I'm over here somewhere. I don't know if you can see my mouse. I'm over here. I'm third from the left in the back row.
Yeah.
Next to Eric Nelson. So, but here, this is when we're doing demos. I always love this picture because it's got all the privies in the background. But that's the Bloomington rendezvous. I was doing a swords display there, a demonstration.
Not to interrupt you, Scotty, but I'm going to watch from the background. I just heard a crack upstairs, and my husband's up there, and I just hollered to him, and he didn't answer.
You go do it.
Thanks. Have a good day.
See you later,
I'll show
Carlene.
you this picture real quick.
Which one?
Let's see. I did a. There's a guy in North Dakota called. His name is Shane Balkowicz. Balkowicz, and he did a lot of the DAPL coverage, and he's a photographer, but he doesn't do film or digital.
Okay.
He does like Edward S. Curtis, the old silver plate pictures. And so him and I worked out something where Susie and I flew out to Bismarck, North Dakota, and we went to a studio, and I portrayed a sacred clown, a heyoka. Oh. And so I got the picture here.
Let's see it. Hold on. Let me get back over there and stop sharing my screen. Stop screen. Oh, wow. I've seen that photo. I didn't know it was done as a
it's silver. Like this is not film. It's silver coated glass.
Right.
And you see the hail marks on the foot, and then the lightning bolt that goes up, and hail marks on the chest. And the heyoka always carried a forked stick, symbolizing many things, male, female, in that sense. And then he always wore a mask. So I got sage with me. So that's the heyoka. But that's
a great photo. Tintype, glass plate.
All loincloth, just loincloth and the mask and headdress and hail marks on the arms, and the lightning bolt down the leg. There we go. So,
and we've got Professor Bauer here. Hey, and as is his custom, he's come in at the end of the show. I have to go early, a few minutes early today, because I got to go pick up my son at 11 o'clock. But so we got about a minute here, Professor, and we got to get out of here. But how you doing today?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm above average, but I'm getting better. And I caught a little bit of the discussion regarding the history and where we are in America and the constitutional republic that we have, not a democracy.
Yes.
And the whole idea of the people being the ones who are actually in charge. The government works for us. We don't work for the government. We are not their serfs.
Doesn't seem that way some days, does it?
Well, the point I wanted to make about that, and I'll keep it short, is that I think what's happening is there's been a concerted effort over a number of decades, nay, even over the last century, to change the language, to change the terms and the words and their definitions, and it's been a very successful effort. It is essentially, and for those of you that have heard my rant on informatica, my concept there is that language is the operating system of the mind. So whatever that language, whatever words, symbols, sounds, letters, etc., are in the language that you use to engage and interact with the reality that you participate in, those are what frame the way in which you interact with and determine how you interact with what you experience. So my point there is that there's been an extremely effective concerted effort to change the language, to change the words, which has reframed the way that people think about the difference between the people and those who govern us. And those who govern us have been very effective in making that consciousness change. So getting back to what words actually mean, or what their original meanings were and what their intent was, is what I think we are going through now. And I'm calling it a 21st century renaissance. We are actually at the point of learning knowledge that has been obfuscated. It has been mangled and manipulated to create a different paradigm in the consciousness. And it's what I'm calling a narradigm. The narrative and the paradigm have merged, and there's been a very effective concerted effort to change the way people think about things. And everything that we're seeing in the societal fabric today, from the race, gender, all these different positions that people use to identify oneself, have been cognitive dissonance in people. So when they are encountering words and terms and ideas, which are nothing more than groups of words put together that challenge the common sense and their natural experience, then it causes a confusion. The confusion is specific, and it's purposeful, and it's been designed to cause division. So that division is what we're seeing in the minds of the people, of the sheeple and the sleeple, who are now becoming aware, because they're encountering things that just don't resonate right. They don't feel right. They don't make sense in the way that they have traditionally experienced reality. So I think all of it is changing. There's a massive surge of change afoot. It is the rise of the pissed off peeps. And I think that we are in mass, whether we're doing it collectively or consciously or unconsciously, collectively, there is a rise of people saying, I got questions. The answers you've been giving me, I need to know what question you use to arrive at that answer, because the answer doesn't make any sense.
Right.
I totally agree with you, Professor, that we need to refurbish our linguistic capabilities, not just because there's no official language in America. English is not the official language. It's the business language. It's the science language. But to me, the real language of this country, I would love to hear change the Constitution, rewrite it or refurbish it, and get savages off there. Well, I'm not a savage, and in that sense, I want to change that. But I think the official language of this country is silence. And I'll demonstrate that right now by closing with this. And Indian Sign Language is the oldest language that the Native Americans had, because there were so many tribes and so many tongues here before German, English, French, Spanish. And so they created a language of sign and gesture. It predates ASL, American Sign Language, and it goes like this: oh great mystery, whose voice I hear in the wind, and whose breath gives life to all the world. Hear me, I am small and weak. One of your many, many children am I. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the red and purple sunrise. Make my hands respect the many things you have made, and make my ears sharp to hear your voice, and make me wise, not wisdom here over the heart. Make me wise that I may know the many things you've hidden in every leaf and rock. I seek strength not to be greater than my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me always ready to come before you with clean hands and straight eyes, so that when life fades as a fading sunset, my spirit may come before you without shame. And that's
Beautiful.
I love
Deep,
that. I
beautiful.
love
White
that.
Cloud. Yeah, it's you can Google it. It's called An Indian's Prayer, and it's Chief White Cloud, who's Lakota as well. And
that was probably a great way to wrap this. I have got to go because I'm already going to be late picking up my son. I keep getting text messages here if you're hearing that.
Always a pleasure. And
mine as well. Thank you,
Professor.
sir.
We got to get you on for a whole show. We got to get you up early over there in Colorado. So,
well, if I didn't stay up so late working on stuff, I would be able to get up really good.
I hear you. I'm a night owl.
Captain Barbados, I see you over there, and I can't bring you in. We've got to go this morning. Sorry, brother. We'll get you next time. And everybody else, thank you for being here. And Ruben, good to see you, my brother. I love you. And Professor Bauer, for as little as we seem to be able to talk these days, I love you too, brother, and I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Everybody else, we're going to sign off right here because I got to run. So thank you all for being here. We will see you next time. Live long and prosper.
Don't